we're going to try a digital Notan. And as we learned, the Notan is a Japanese art form which is a play of black versus white and has to do with symmetry and positive and negative space. So we are going to open up our Google Drive and we are going to click on New. This is going to be done in a Google Drawing. So we're going to go down to Google Drawing, which is this one right here, Google Drawing. And it brings us to this window. Now this window in the middle is considered your canvas. And the canvas is the space that we're going to create on. So you can see the canvas has like this very light gray and white checkers. So I want you to click on this untitled drawing. I want you to name it, your name, and your class code. I'm going to put J. Okay. Now, the canvas size is set for the standard. We want to change the canvas into a square as we had our white square for our collage Notan. So to change this into a square, you're going to click on File, and you're going to go down to Page Setup, which is right here, Page Setup. And like I said, it's set for the standard 4x3. There's a little drop down arrow right here where it's going to bring us to custom. And we're going to change our page to 8.5, 8.5 by 8.5. And we're going to click apply. So you'll see that canvas shape has shrunk into this standard square. Okay, step one. We are going to insert the black square. So when we did our collage version of this, we each got a piece of black paper. So I'm going to go in to create a black square. So there's two options here. This tool right here is the shape tool. You might not have this icon. You can go into shape and you can click on shapes. The first one over is a rectangle. Okay, so you can do it that way. If you don't see this shape icon, go into insert, come down to shape. First shape here is a rectangle, and we scroll over to find the rectangle. Okay. Now, your computer is not going to draw a rectangle unless you have the shape tool highlighted. Sometimes you go to the default, which is the arrow key. So if your arrow key is highlighted blue, you're not going to be able to draw a shape. You need to have this kind of like compass shape here. So I'm going to click and drag so that I start to create a square. Okay, so we have our square. And the square itself becomes highlighted by these blue lines, and it has these little squares in the middle of each line and each corner. If the shape is highlighted, your computer knows that you want to work with that shape. If your shape is not highlighted, your computer does not think you want to work on that shape. So you always want to make sure, and this is that cursor tool. See how it's highlighted blue? So you always want to make sure that the object you're working on is highlighted. So mine is highlighted blue. I want to change this black. So here is the paint bucket, and this is called the fill color tool. So you want to fill the color to black, and we want to create a transparent line. So we want the border color to be transparent. Okay, that's our first step. Now we want to size this square so that it fits evenly into our canvas, and I'm going to format it. So up here, File, Edit, View, Insert is Format. So we're going to click on Format. And if you don't have the fill color as a option on your toolbar here, there's also fill color right here. Okay, see it? Fill color. Same thing with the borders and lines would be here if you don't have those little icons on your toolbar. I'm going to click on Format Options. Okay, Format Options brings me this little window on the side, and I want to click on Size and Rotation. And again, we want to make sure that the square is highlighted. And currently it's a rectangle because it's not perfectly even. So it's 3.67 by 3.49, but I was pretty close. So I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to change this to 4.5, and I'm going to change this to 4.5. And there's my square. All right, so I want to center this square. So if I click on the square and drag it with my finger, see how you get that red guideline? So that's saying it's centered vertical. I want it also to be centered horizontal. So I guess I have to drag it up. There's horizontal, there's vertical. So it has that crossbar. If that's not working for you, there's another way to do this. If you click on arrange and we go to center on page, horizontal, arrange, center on page, and vertical. Okay, let's start drawing some shapes into our Notan. So I'm going to take my cursor off the square. I'm going to go back into this shape tool, and I'm going to try and make a cloud. Oh, I think I'm going to go with this kind of theme here. So I'm going to do a sun. And when you're creating the shape, I want you, so this is the top, this is the sides. So the top and the bottom and the two sides are going to be flipped a certain way. And I'm going to explain what that means in a second. So you want to line up your cursor right to the edge of the black and click your mouse key or your finger tab and drag to the size that you want your shape to be. Again, I picked a sun. Okay, so now the sun, I'm not exactly sure what color that is, some kind of gray scale, but I'm going to go click on the fill color, and I want this to be white, and I want the border to be transparent. Okay. Now, I know that you all are used to the copy and pasting tool, but in Google Drawings, there's this really cool feature, which is duplicate. So you're going to press the CTRL, which is the control key, and the D at the same time, and that's going to duplicate it. So you want to line your shape up so that it matches. And then, so this one is actually works fine, that I can just take it and slide it up to match. Now I need this to be black because it's in the white. So I'm going to black, and I'm going to make sure my border is transparent. And I'm going to unclick here. Okay, so there we go. So I have the sun with the positive and the negative, the black and the white. Same thing as our collage drawing. I want you to have at least 4 objects on each side of the square. I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to try for a moon. So I'm going to put my cursor down on that black edge, press my mouse pad, and drag it to the shape that I would like. I think I want it to be over a little bit more. I don't really like that shape. I want to resize it. So I'm just clicking and dragging like this until I like how that looks. Okay, so I'm going to fill bucket white. And default is going to some blue for some reason. Border color transparent. Now again, this shape is highlighted, so I know my computer knows I want to work with this one. I'm going to duplicate, Control D. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to change the color to black, and I'm going to slide the moon down. So we haven't had to do any rotation flips yet. So I'm going to do something next so you can see what that means. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to insert another shape. I think I'm going to try one of these arrows. These arrows look pretty cool. I'm going to try this one. Oh, I'm going to try this one. Okay, so I'm going to line up my cursor right with the edge of the canvas. I'm going to drag this out as far or as big as I want. Okay, fill color white, border color transparent. Okay, so now duplicate, Control D, line it up, fill it black, make sure the transparency is there. Okay, so now here's my problem. If I go to move this, what happens? It needs to be flipped. See how in order to line this up, it needs to be flipped. So this is what we were doing on the collage paper, is you would cut, you'd put the glue on the top side and you'd turn it over. So over here in the format options, if you don't have this anymore, let me show you where to get it. It's click on format, go to format options, and you get this toolbar on the right side. So there's a vertical flip. This is a horizontal flip and this is a vertical flip. So vertical means you're flipping it where you're taking the bottom to the top. So that's not what we need. When it's on the edge, you need to flip it horizontal. So we need to bring the left side to the right side like this. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it to the end. Oh, it's actually a tiny little bit too big. Darn. Okay. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to resize this. So I'm going to click in the corner and make it a tiny bit smaller. Okay. And then Control D, back to it. Line it up. Fill bucket is black. Border is transparent. I have to flip it horizontally, right? Horizontal. There we go. And slide it over. Bam. There we go. Okay, so right now I have 4 shapes. 3 shapes. I need 1 more. And I want you to at least have 1 double. Okay, so let me try. I think a star would be a good one. 5-point star. So I'm going to start with my cursor right on the edge. I'm going to make this star. I'm going to drag it down a little bit so it looks pretty cool over here. Okay. Make sure your star is highlighted. We're going to our fill tool, white. We're going to border transparent. We're Control D to duplicate. Line it up. Change it to black and slide it over. So for this one, we do not need to flip it again. Okay. So what can I do a double for? Oh, I guess I'm going to do a double inside the sun. I think that'll be cool. All right. So I'm going to insert my shape. This is going to be a circle. Come here, circle. Okay. Going to be a circle. Inside my sun, I'm going to draw the circle. Let it go. And I want it centered. So let me click and drag. So it's centered. Let me try that again. No, that doesn't look centered. So now I want to move it down and up. Control D. I'm going to change this to white. And come on up with the white circle into the sun. Bam. There's my double. Oh, it's a little off. This has to come a little higher. This wasn't an easy one that I chose here. Okay, so that's a double. And you can have as much fun here as you want with shapes. So let me try something like a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to go to shapes. I'm going to go to square. I'll put a square here and make the border fill color white, border color transparent. Inside, I'm going to insert another shape, which will be, I'm going to try one of those arrows. Okay, I'm going to do this arrow. Line it up with the edge. Draw my arrow. Change the color to black. Change the border to transparent. Okay. So now for this, I guess I forgot to duplicate this. Control D. Line this up. Bring it up. Whoop, too far. This has to become black. This has to become transparent. And then I'm going to duplicate the arrow. So Control D to duplicate. Line it up. Change it to white. And now I have to flip it vertical, right? Let's see. I have to flip it vertical. There it goes. Bring it to the edge. Okay, so this is our digital Google Notan. And I can't wait to see how creative you make yours. Good luck.